With Pokemon Scarlet and Violet now being able to connect to Pokemon Home, allowing over 100 additional Pokemon into the games, I decided to join a Pokemon Draft League. A Pokemon Draft League is where individuals, called coaches, take turns drafting teams of unique Pokemon and battling each other weekly until one coach is crowned the champion. I lost in the semifinals of my last Pokemon Draft League, so it's time to run it back. My placement in the draft was 14th, which means I was dead last. So a lot of the best Pokemon, like Dragapult or Great Tusk, would already be taken. But being last does have its advantages. You are what they call the wheel of the draft because you get 2 picks back to back. So my first pick was Hisuian Samurott. Samurott's signature move, Ceaseless Edge, gets up spikes while I'm attacking, which means I don't have to waste a turn getting up hazards. Its signature ability Sharpness boosts the power of slicing moves by 1.5, and it has a ton of them, like Razor Shell and Sacred Sword. It also has priority in Sucker Punch and Aqua Jet, and even Knock Off to get rid of items. Not to mention the Water Dark typing has 6 key resistances. My next pick was something I was surprised to see last 14 picks, especially because it's banned in Smogon Tiers. My second Pokemon drafted was Annihilate. Annihilate paired very well with Hisuian Samurott as it could take the fighting type attacks and bug type attacks aimed at it, whereas Samurott could take the ghost type attacks aimed at Annihilate. Annihilate also has insane bulk and could punish people for defogging away my spikes set by Ceaseless Edge because of its Defiant ability. And of course it has one of the most broken moves in the game in Rage Fist, which starts at 50 base power and goes up by 50 every single time you're hit, up to a maximum of 350 base power. With Drain Punch for recovery and even Stealth Rock for my team, it felt like a no-brainer. My first 2 picks were weak to Fairy, so I needed a Steel type to help them out, and I got the Steel type. Heatran was my next pick, which I somehow landed even though 40 other picks happened before this. One of the greatest Pokemon of all time with 9 resistances and 1 immunity. It can set up Stealth Rock for my team, trap my opponent with moves like Magma Storm, tank hits from Dragon types, burn my opponent with its Flame Body ability, and be an offensive threat with Choice Specs or Choice Scarf sets. Its main nerf this generation is that it doesn't have access to Toxic, but neither do most Pokemon. With Heatran added to the list, I wanted something to be immune to Earthquake. And to my delight, I got one of the best Pokemon in the game, Dragonite. Dragonite and Heatran work incredibly well together because everything that Heatran's weak to, Dragonite resists, and everything that Dragonite's weak to, Heatran can take on. Dragonite gives me some extra priority in Extreme Speed and Aqua Jet, Dragon Dance to potentially sweep my opponent. It can be a support Pokemon with both Encore and Thunder Wave, has reliable recovery in Roost, and can also break with Choice Span Outrage or mix Life Orb Draco Meteor sets. It's a top tier Pokemon in all of OU, VGC, and Draft, so I'm excited to use it. In Draft League, I believe you should always have a poison type that's touching the ground, aka a grounded poison type. This allows you to deal with toxic spikes even if you don't have a rapid spinner or defogger because poison types absorb them. Enter my next pick, Galerian Slowbro. Galerian Slowbro is a very sturdy switch into fairy types, which besides Heatran, my team was weak to. In a lot of ways it's better than Heatran at that because it has access to Slack Off for reliable recovery and its ability Regenerator to heal it when it switches out. Both Calm Mind and Nasty Plot will allow me to overtake even Calm Mind Sylveon and Florges, with Psyshock to hit Pokemon like Blissey on the physical side, fantastic coverage in Surf, Focus Blast, Flamethrower, Grass Knot, Ice Beam, access to Trick Room to give me forms of speed control, and Trick to cripple my opponent, and a very nasty ability in Quick Draw, which gives me a 30% chance to move first in a turn. And I checked the rules, and Quick Claw isn't banned, and they do stack, meaning if I decide to run a Quick Claw on this Pokemon, I have a 44% chance to move before my opponent. That's a lot, but you can't always depend on luck, and my team was kinda slow, so I needed some speed. So I decided to get all the speed. So my next pick was Hisuian Electrode, which besides its Cantonian counterpart and Regieleki, is the fastest Pokemon in the game. It also is my lowest drafted Pokemon at 5 points. But there's a reason for this. This draft league does allow terrestrialization, but only of Pokemon who are 9 points or lower, and you can have 2 to 3 Terra Captains. Hisuian Electrode is going to be one of my Terra Captains for the season, and the Terra rules state that you can terrestrialize into one of your own type and 2 other types. And an electric type that naturally beats ground types because of its Grass Stab that can otherwise benefit from Terra Blast Ice or Terra Fairy seemed really good to me. It gives me Volt Switch for my team to go along with Annihilape's U-turn, and also can be a fast substitute Leech Seed staller. My team lacked another type that I believe every Pokemon Draft League team should have, and that's a ground type. So I picked up Crocodile next. Crocodile is another Stealth Rocker for the team that also of course blocks Volt Switch, can be a natural Choice Scarf user that can get mini sweeps because of Moxie, has a very strong stab Earthquake and even bulk up to boost its stats, has a very spammable move in close combat, and even got Gunk Shot this generation to deal with fairy types. It was nerfed like most dark types and doesn't have access to knockoff, but it can still be a sturdy ground type for my team due to its Intimidate ability. I've drafted Crocodile before and I'm excited to see how it works now in Generation 9. My next pick was a Pokemon that I've always wanted on my draft teams but have never managed to pick it up until now, and that's Lycanroc Dusk Form. This Pokemon is insane in draft because it always hits incredibly hard due to its Tough Claws ability. It has good priority moves in both its Stab Accelerock and also Sucker Punch, strong Stone Edges, and very spammable close combats that are boosted by Tough Claws. Not to mention fantastic coverage like Iron Head, Play Rough, and Psychic Fangs, and it even got Trailblaze this generation. It gave my team a very valuable speed tier at base 110. Having fast Pokemon in draft is very important because it forces your opponent to run speed boosting natures as opposed to attack boosting natures. For example, if I was to face Cinderace, it could currently run Adamant versus my team since that outspeeds everything before Crocodile and could never outspeed Hisuian Electrode anyway. Now that I have Lycanroc Dusk, it has to run Jolly in order to outspeed that. I mentioned earlier that Hisuian Electrode was one of my Terra captains, and now we drafted my next, which is Delphox. Delphox got a bunch of buffs this generation, like Nasty Plot, Stored Power, and Focus Blast. It's also naturally faster than base 100 Pokemon, giving me another valuable speed tier. And because it's one of my Terra captains, I could easily turn it into a grass type to not worry about ground and water types, or even a fairy type to not care about dark types. It's also another Pokemon on my team that learns Trick to cripple opposing Pokemon or outspeed them with a Choice Scarf, or nuke them with Terrafire Choice Specs Overheat. I wanted another Pokemon that could switch into moves like Earthquake and also take on giant threats like Dragon Dance Dragons. So my final pick was Cresselia. Cresselia was nerfed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with 10 less base defense and special defense, thanks VGC, but it also received a very good buff from Legends Arceus. Cresselia now learns Lunar Blessing, which not only heals some of my HP, but also gets rid of status. It's basically a clone of Jungle Healing. I can also use Lunar Dance to bring something like Heatran from 1 HP all the way back up to 100, or even Annihilate, which works very well when combined with Rage Fist. It's a very sturdy Calm Mind sweeper for my team that can also spread status in Thunder Wave. So that's my team for my first ever Pokemon Home Draft League. I lack Hazard Control this time, with no Defog or Rapid Spin. But that's because in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the only good Rapid Spinners are the Donphan family, and Corviknight's probably the only good Defogger. And of course, being last to draft meant all those Pokemon were taken by the time it was my turn. And I refused to get a subpar Pokemon just to hopefully be able to deal with that. The same goes for Fairy types because there was no good Fairy type left. Luckily, I have 2 Pokemon that can Terrasilize into them. So what do you think of my team? Let me know down below, and make sure you subscribe as Draft League content will be uploaded every single Sunday. I'm on my way to 400,000 subscribers, and if everybody who watched this video is subbed right now, I can hit that today. So stay tuned for the LA Wakers Pokemon Premier League Week 1 battle next week. And don't worry, we'll definitely be doing watch togethers again for this Draft League, just like we did for the BBR. And also big shout out to Dylan, Zazo, and Olivia for the help. So support your LA Wakers, and I'll see y'all Week 1.